Hello and bienvenue. I'm your host, Anaïs, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to Her Career, Her Coach, the podcast dedicated to empowering women to build a career they are truly passionate about. I don't know about you, dear listener, but one of the things I love the most when adventuring myself into a new path, whether it's career-related or personally speaking, is always about researching and exchanging with people who have gone through that particular thing or experience. There is so much value in learning from one another, and that's exactly why I'm very excited to welcome today's guest, Alia El Khatib. So Alia, welcome to the show.
Thank you, dear. Thank you. I'm super excited to be here and talk about my career and, all the challenges that we all have to go as business entrepreneurs.
Exactly that. I'm excited too. Would that be okay to tell us more about you and what you do?
So my name is Alia. I'm Lebanese originally, and I'm a business and marketing coach. I started the digital nomad lifestyle 3 years ago while I was living in Thailand, and I was lead generation, service provider, and I have pivoted into becoming a business and marketing coach after 3 years. So that's what I currently do right now.
So many information in that first sentence.
Yeah.
Obviously, we had the conversation together. I also know that you're no longer in Thailand or Lebanon. So I know you probably have lived and visited a lot of places throughout your personal life and career. So the first question that comes to mind is, how was working in Thailand?
Working in Thailand was the digital nomad lifestyle. Like that was the dream and I was living it. But then COVID came. It was really nice to honestly think the East is the best place to start an online business because it's super cheap and affordable to live there. I was living off $10 a day for my food. My rent was like $500, my, space. There were a lot of other people that were expats. You're surrounded by them. And it was easier to start an online business there, whether it's in Bali, in Phuket, or Koh Phangan, where living is extremely low. And especially in your first 2-3 years in business, you need low business and personal costs. So it was amazing. But then COVID unfortunately came and it forced me to go back to Beirut, for that.
I'm sure we're going to probably unpack some of it as part of the achievements and challenges. It's interesting that you mentioned the digital nomad life because I just got back, spoiler alert, now people will know when the episodes are recorded, but I just got back last week from 3 weeks in Bali and definitely saw a lot of digital nomad working there, like you said. Obviously, even though probably nowadays Bali is more expensive than it used to be, but I could see a lot of digital nomad working from there and I could see why it's working. The question now I want to ask you is, how did you ended up being a digital nomad in the first place?
That's actually an interesting question. So when I took a sabbatical for 2 years after working like 11 years in business and marketing and working in tech startups, like I was working in multiple industries in multiple cities. I used to be in Beirut, in Dubai, in London. And then I decided to just quit. And I wanted to be a fitness boxing teacher. So I got certified to be a personal trainer. I got like training for 9 months in Muay Thai because I wanted to teach women fitness boxing. And that was the trend back then of fitness boxing. Then I thought about, okay, do I go to Dubai, because that's where the money is still, to be a personal trainer starting from the bottom as an intern? That was the option that I had. And then I started getting these ads from this business coach telling us about how to start a digital marketing agency. And I've been doing marketing for all my life. I studied it since college. That was like my aha moment. I'm like, yeah, that's better. I could start digital online business where I can get to continue living here and do what I'm actually a master in, because you become a master when you do 10,000 hours of something. And that's what I was. While being a personal trainer, it was really hard to learn how to teach people, like correct their postures and all of that and help them lose weight. So that's how I ended up starting my business. And it really has evolved since then. And I grew as a person and as a coach myself. And I keep growing and investing. That's how it actually started. Yeah.
Exciting journey. And fast forwarding to where you are today, what is it that you love the most about what you do? I'm curious.
I love when I see my clients win. Like when my clients come to me making $20,000 deals, I'm surprised. Like sometimes my clients make more than me, not sometimes, most 80% of the time, because they're on a league on their own and they just needed that extra push and strategy to get them to where they want to be, right? Because every business owner has had their own traumas in life and experiences, and every decision they make is based on that trauma. So I have a lot of trauma and baggage coming from where I come and personal experiences. So in business, as you know, mindset is 80% of the game, which I only knew about only last year. So I used to think it was just strategy application, strategy apply, it was just that, because I'm a strategist, I'm a consultant, like that's what I do. So I never used to care about mindset, like how I think about money or how I think about imposter syndrome or limiting beliefs. I just used to throw that in the back. Then over the years of running my business, I realized, no, what I've learned is that 80% mindset, that you have to believe that you can achieve anything that you want. And then 20% is key. That 20% will get you to your goals. But my clients might not have had major mindset blocks or traumas. So all they needed from me is that 20%, which I gave them. And that's why most of my clients excel and have, amazing, crazy results. So I used to fly to the moon when I see them win. It's like, wow. But I do actually impacts people's lives. Like they get to hire people and do that. So I really do love that a lot in my business, like over the years.
I love it. It resonates obviously with me on a even personal, professional level. I think there is so much to impact in what you shared. First of all, the whole 80-20, I think it's definitely spot on. It's hard to comprehend because it's not something very tangible and concrete. However, like you said, the mindset is definitely the one thing that is really, really key and critical. And you can't just tick the boxes and do what's supposed to be done without really sincerely believing that it's going to take you where it needs to be taking you. So, it's the same with the work that I do, especially with my clients, for example, going through interviews and applying for the roles that if deep down they don't believe they would be the right fit for, then we're not going to get that much far. Let's unpack a little bit more your career journey. So we're going to look at things from the achievements side of things. If I were to ask you what have been your top 3 career achievements, what would you say?
My top 3, well, in my first job, which was in Dubai, because this is where you can have a successful career, I managed to be like a brand manager of a company. Since I was 21, that was underworked, but overpaid. That was one of the easiest jobs in my life. And sadly, that's an achievement for me. But it wasn't enough to keep me in Dubai. I was really unhappy in Dubai. Back then, I really didn't care about the money and the career. I just wanted to care about what drives me. The second achievement to me is starting my own tech business at 23, before anybody was even starting tech businesses as frequent as it is now, before even Dubai was a tech hub. To go on your own as an entrepreneur and on your own without mentors back in 2011 was huge. When I used to tell this to people, they're like, wow, that takes a lot of courage. And I was proud of myself for that. But my business ended up failing after 3 years, but I became a much stronger business person in general because of it. I wasn't just under the umbrella of a company working for a corporate, conforming to doing everything. So the hate of my job in Dubai, even though it was well paid and underworked, led me to starting my own tech business, to me, which was a huge career achievement.
What was if there is one thing, or maybe it's a combination of things, what pushed you to start your own business?
Yeah, that's a good question. So when I wanted to leave Dubai, I was sick of it. Dubai is super overwhelming. It's like London or New York. It just doesn't suit me. It was too much pressure. And I just wanted to be back home and I wanted to do my own thing. I knew I was a smart girl. I am a hard worker, perfectionist. I knew I could do my own thing. And I just wanted to run my own thing and be living in Lebanon. That's what pushed me to start it. And it was like a tech business, like an Instagram visual menu in an app. Now the delivery apps minus the delivery, just looking at food pictures of people curated. It was very tough to do and etc. I wish I would do it differently, of course, but it was all a learning journey.
Yeah, even though some of the experience that we've had in our career or even personally hasn't necessarily led to a thriving one, in the sense that we knew the things that didn't work for us back then, this has led to where we're meant to be and going next. You know what I mean? It's a journey, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. I mean, trying to do things on your own, you learn how to run a whole business and wear all the hats. So now when I'm running this business, this one is much easier than the one before. I knew when I wanted this business that I didn't want to depend on anyone. And back then, when it was a tech business, I couldn't do anything without the actual app or website working. Now I do everything myself. And now, of course, with the 10 years in the making, you can really know how to do your own website, copy, design, Canva. Like we could do everything now. Like this is the best time in history to have a business, like it's really amazing. Back then it was super hard. And just 2011, not even a long time ago, before you couldn't even make your own website and change it. You always had to depend on others. I think all my journey in tech and after the companies I worked in after all led me to prepare me for this company.
Love it. Any other career achievement that you want to share?
Starting this business was one of my biggest, and I get to also help other businesses. Like I never knew, like just from my laptop in Thailand, I can be reaching people, clients that were in Australia and Canada and impacting their lives and their businesses. And I get to talk about it and I get to inspire my friends about it, which is really great. Everyone keeps telling me you wouldn't go back to Dubai, you wouldn't go back to Dubai. And I'm like, no, like why? Like, how's that gonna make me thrive as a person, just working for others? So to me, starting this business and seeing it succeed, to me, is my third career achievement.
Ah, I love it. And I feel like obviously being an entrepreneur myself and a business owner, I definitely hear you when it comes to this being an achievement because I would feel the same way as well. I also know, like you said, the challenges that goes with it, especially like knowing how to wear the multiple hats and so on and so on. Thinking about this, as you said, being your third achievement, what is it that you're the most proud of when it comes to your own business?
Of my own business. Honestly, staying and being resilient. Like I think 30% fail in their first year and 50% of them fail in their third year. So for me, staying resilient in my first year in business is a huge accomplishment because many others would give up, but it's only through persistence, resilience, and consistency is how most succeed. Because if you give up, if you don't have a thick skin, if you're not consistent, if you don't believe in yourself and in your business, any small minor issue in front of you will just push you on the edge and get you to stop running your business and just take you back to corporate, But I didn't know how much running your own business is going to impact my own self-development. It's one of the most important things that impacts you in your life. There's getting married or maybe becoming a mother, but then there's running your business. It takes so much power and mind power, and you get to work on yourself and all your trauma and mindset and limiting beliefs, how you think about yourself and your relationship with others, all of that. Because of the way you run your business. I don't know about you, but I'm sure you've had these situations where, for example, if a client doesn't end up signing with you, you start thinking about, I'm not enough. Why do I think I'm not enough? Am I not worthy of that money? And that takes you back to past traumas with your dad and mom and abandonment issues. An example, yeah? So it's like, that's crazy how when we run our businesses, it gets us to reflect on ourselves as a human. So if you end up staying resilient and consistent and persevering in your business, that means you are facing your own personal life and trauma and journey and working on them and working on your business. That's like the biggest life experiment, no?
100%. No, I agree. I mean, for anyone who's listening to this conversation right now and who is either running their own business already or considering running theirs, I think, like you said, spot on. Running my own business is definitely one of the biggest learning curves, not only on the professional front, but also the personal front. Because like you said, you do have to be ready to face your deepest fears and to embrace a growth. Because essentially, if you don't grow as a person, if you keep getting stuck in the same sort of loop and narrative of limiting belief, for example, you're not going to go far. Like this is the hardest thing and the most beautiful thing as well, right? When you're running your own business. And I do feel like to some extent you can also experience that in, for example, a full-time job, but it has to be in a supportive, thriving environment. And I remember back in my early days in corporate life, I knew I was at a stage where I was ready as a person to go to the next step. The work that I was doing was not aligning with who I was as a person. And that's what happens when you're running your own business, that you could really very much tweak things around to suit you as a person more easily, let's say, than if you were to have a full-time job. But it can also also happen to some extent when you have a full-time role. But yeah, like you said, the whole growth that is associated with it is the hardest and the most amazing thing that can happen. I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, it's not for everyone. Like, if someone would tell me, would you do it again? I would do things differently, right? The online space makes it seem like anybody can start a business. You can start a jewelry business, you can start an online, the world is your oyster. And that's what I tell my clients. There are specific characteristics of being an entrepreneur. And you definitely should read about it if you are thinking about starting your business. It's really not for everyone. Like, you really need to have a thick skin. You know what I mean by like thick skin? You really need to, because
Yeah, absolutely.
you will get so many rejections, people calling you off, like things are taking a toll, and it can really impact you and your business. So it's an amazing learning journey, ebb and flow, you know, ebbs and flow. It's beautiful, honestly. It's as important as being a mother to me. Like, it's just as crazy. You know how it's beautiful to have a child, but there's also the chaos of having a child.
I'm not a mother myself, but I've learned about this through my clients. But yes, I mean, you know, to an extent, I feel like the relationship I do have with it, it's like definitely a human. I don't know if it's a child because I've never had one to look after, but definitely, as you said, like even when I took the 3 weeks off earlier this year, it was like, okay, how do I navigate this? Like, do I actually want to stay in contact, you know, with the business in a way, like it was a human, or do I want to like not keep touch and then, you know, come back 3 weeks down the line? So I absolutely hear you. Funny enough, hearing you sharing it just now, I know you said if I were to do it again, I would probably do it differently. What is it that you would do differently?
The thing is, because I realized over the last 3 years, I have money mindset issues. I knew I had them, but I didn't know it was going to impact my business. I would have had a full-time job and started this as a side hustle. And waited like 2 years for it to completely pick up and make more than my consistent income, and then quit my job. Because it's so hard to just start from scratch, especially if you cannot get a business debt, or if your savings were literally stolen from your own bank account, like what happens in my country, into my own savings.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. Starting a business as a Lebanese, and in our case, it's even harder than normal. If you cannot apply for a business debt and you don't have savings, trying to run your own business is pretty costly and expensive. And now that I understand money mindset, if every day I go into working on my business, I want to generate leads and get clients, but I keep thinking there isn't enough clients or money, I will not get clients or money, right? Because there's lack mentality. So if
scarcity mentality, yes.
Scarcity mentality. So if I had a consistent job, full-time job, and did this on the side, that would be amazing, because I'd be relaxed. I know that my bills are covered and everything, and that extra money would be extra income coming, and then build that out for 2 years till it's successful enough to quit my full-time job.
Interesting. It's funny enough because I did the same as you. I went for quitting my job and starting from scratch. So I actually had to take on some additional freelancing roles to help me sort of get some money in the business whilst I was building it up. So I absolutely hear you. I would still do it the same way if I were to do it again, because I've learned the brutal way how to set up a business. However, I'm working really, really hard with my clients for them not to do it this way, because like you said, it can really throw you in the deep end of facing either the mindsets or fears that you knew you had, but you didn't realize how much they could potentially hold you back in a way. So I hear you. And you know what? We might have already overstepped into sort of the second part of the podcast, which is all about looking at your career challenges. So if I were to ask you about your top 3, will this be part of them, or would you have other sort of career challenges that you'd like to share with us?
I mean, yes, career challenge for me, like a business-oriented challenge. Yes, not having consistent income is huge for many business entrepreneurs. And for me at the beginning, I was very patient. So for the first 6 months, it was okay for me making like 1K months. It was all right because I knew I was building my business. But then the mindset started working, but it was creeping in without me knowing. So one is not having consistent income. That plays a lot on your psychology, like how you show up every day. And back then I really had no idea that if I show up every day chasing clients and thinking, oh, I need to sign this client, I'm going to not get clients. I really did not know that. So I was just digging deeper into lack, and not getting consistent income. 2 was the mindset. Like I didn't want to get because I'm such a strategist and consultant. I'm a very pragmatic person, and I was avoiding therapy for years, like everybody does. I didn't think that when I was running my business, I'm going to have to face my demons. how is that related, right? So there was a lot of denial happening there. So mindset was my biggest challenge, like denying all the feelings I was having. And that was just making it worse and worse in my business and really slowing my own progress and making me question myself. And why did I start my business? And should I go back to corporate and et cetera, et cetera? That's the mindset. The third biggest challenge is actually now with the online space, we have support. But in the first 2 years with COVID and everything, your environment is so important. None of my friends or surroundings were doing what I was doing, starting an online business. Most people still work in corporate. I had to create and find that environment. But so back then I was on my own. I didn't have anyone to talk to about my mindset, my issues, what was happening, someone to consult with. Till later, like the last year and a half, I decided, you know what, I'm going all in and I'm going to invest to be in the space where there are other people that do exactly what I do. And that really helped me. So now I could talk to people just like you, right? Talk to people about what I do. So we all think that when we start our own businesses, we don't need help and support, right? Like the ego comes in and stuff. We don't need anybody. We could do it, right? Like we don't need anybody. We don't need to consult our friends. Like that doesn't matter. But then a year and a half later, doing things on my own and no one to talk to about this, obviously slowed my own progress till I realized that I need to be in an environment with other successful business entrepreneurs. So this would be the summary of challenges.
Very exciting. And to go back to the second one you shared around the mindset, it definitely is something that I've been talking a lot as well as part of the podcast. I talk about it as well with my clients. How did you navigate that? Because it's so hard nowadays to actually sort of like believe in yourself, because with the online world, you can so easily compare, right? You've got so many sort of distractions that are out there, either because of people who are sharing what they are doing and you're like, oh my God, they're doing it so much better than me, or other distractions in the sense that you could actually not necessarily focus on the things that you thought you wanted to do, but you get carried away doing something else because everybody's doing it. You know what I mean? Like there are so many things out there. I mean, to go back to what you were saying, I feel like nowadays it's super easy to run your own business because you've got so many tools available, so many information available. And at the same time, because everybody can do it, it's even harder than ever to distinguish yourself, if you know what I mean. So I feel like the mindset sort of hurdle can sometimes be quite a challenge. So how did you navigate your own when you were adapting yourself and your abilities?
So one was awareness. Like one was awareness. It was huge. Thank God I was like following Facebook groups and being aware of what you described now, like comparison syndrome and shiny object syndrome. So comparison syndrome is like, I follow other entrepreneur business marketing consultants like me, and I'm like, oh my God, they're doing this and they're doing that. They're doing so much better. You know, everybody now showing how much money they make, and that you can follow it and be like, oh my God, I'm so far behind, and go down a negative spiral. Or you can say, wow, she showed me that I can achieve similar results. How crazy is that? Like, I would have never thought that I can become a marketing coach or a business coach. I never thought I can make $10,000 a month. Like, that's crazy. Like, that was not even something I was even dreaming of, right? Because we all go to corporate and we make our $30,000, $40,000 a year. Making $10,000 from your own business is not something very unheard of, right? Till the online space showed us this. So then I would work on shifting my mindset. And instead of saying, I'm so behind and blah, 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 I could think about it in a way like she showed me that I can also achieve that. All I need to do is, you know, work on my mindset or work on my business, right? The shiny object syndrome is the worst, you know, especially like if you have ADHD like me. 1 month I'm launching a course, second month let's do a workshop, third let's like, you're just like throwing arrows all over the board except the ring, you know? That was very hard to navigate as well, like to actually sit down and do a 90-day plan and just focus on just one main thing that will move the needle. It was a slow process, but I just started awareness about like, what are these things? And then following mindset coaches. And then the biggest way I worked on my mindset was from the 6-7 figure entrepreneur coach. She works with Bob Proctor. Last year, around my birthday, you know, everybody, I don't know about you, but around birthdays, it's the worst. Not last year, the year before, you're questioning yourself. Am I not even close to my goals? I'm not married. I'm not making this income, etc. Questioning everything, right? I attended this 3-day workshop and she asked this question, like, ask yourself this question. Do you want to be in the exact same place a year from now? And that question just made me cry like a baby. I'm like, no, I don't want to be in the same place as next year. Like I was already questioning myself and having an existential crisis. And then imagine next year I'm in the same place. So I went and invested $11,000 with her because I'm like, I don't want, show me the way out, you know? And I'm a very cynical, like, I'm not an easy buyer. I don't buy just like that. It took me a while. It took me a month and a half to buy from them, consuming everything to invest that much. But I'm like, yeah, I'm sick of doing things on my own. I'm sick of thinking that I can work it out, you know, having your own ego. I need to let go. We all need a mentor that can guide us to unblock all these things that I have no idea how to do on my own, especially the mindset work, you know? That's what's got me to keep working on my mindset, investing in my mindset. And it was a whole year program. It's a lot of work.
And I think it links to the third point that you shared, which was around, you know, surrounding yourself with other entrepreneurs who are doing similar things or having a support network. Like I do talk a lot about the support network. And I mean, I just want to say thank you so much, you know, sharing your journey here without any filters, because I absolutely hear you. It resonates because when I first started, I was like, I'm going to do it on my own and I know what I'm doing. But no, actually, the same way I do work with my clients and help them overcome some of the blind spots they have, or work on some of the mindset blocks that they do have. I do have a coach that I've been working with, and you know, since I've started my business a couple of years ago, I had 4 different coaches because, you know, every time I go to the next stage of the business, there is another either like issue or challenge that needs to be tackled that requires different expertise and set of eyes, right? And so I genuinely, truly, sincerely believe, obviously I would not be doing what I'm doing otherwise, but I sincerely believe that you can't go too far in life if you are not surrounded with the right person, whether it's, you know, a professional such as a coach, a mentor, whoever that is, but also it has to be not only that, but a support network in the sense that the people that you surround yourself with. I'm very glad that you shared that. Thank you so much for that, Alia.
No worries.
I definitely super keen and curious. You already did that along the way. I'm definitely curious to know about what would be your top recommendations for any woman out there who is looking to either start their own business or who is in a full-time role, but definitely feel a little bit stuck at the moment. What would you say to them?
One would be, they should really question, where do they want to be in a year from now? You know, like
like it did for you, right?
Yeah, like where do they want to be in a year from now? Because, you know, life is too short. COVID showed us that life is too short. And I refuse to be stuck on my laptop. Like, yes, now I'm stuck on my laptop, but all summer I'm going to be taking off. And that is allowed by my freedom-based business, an online business, and the way I'm setting it up. So you want to think about, where do you want to be from now? Do you want next year to also only have 30 days a year to go on vacation? Or do you want to be at home working with your kids? So you need a definite yes or no for that. If it's a yes, great. That means you are ready to start your business. And then if you want to start your business, you need to have a really strong why. This is something I tell my current clients whenever they have a block happening. Your why of why you want to start your business has to be more important than vacation days. It really has to be something, because every time you will have a block in your business, you have to remind yourself of why did you start your business.
Why am I doing this again?
Exactly. Because everything that will come, because let's say people start judging you in your business, like showing up on video, right? Like everyone questions them, showing up on video, like they're afraid of people's judgments. But if you remember why you started your business, it will be insignificant. For me, why I started my business, it's not about just freedom-based business. That's also important. Also, I want to make money. Great. I'm happy with 3-4K a month. But my why is to actually support myself and my mother, who's a widow and needs support. And I never want her to worry about money, especially when they took all our savings from the bank. So when I come to show up on a reel on Instagram and live, and I'm worried or afraid or procrastinating about showing up, I remind myself, Alia, why did you start your business? I started because of this. Okay, do you believe that if you show up on a live, you're going to get leads and those leads are going to make you $10,000? Yes, I do. Then what are you waiting for? Any block I get, I always go back to, why did I start my business? And it has to be something really, really important, like to be with my kids so that they never, I'm there with them all the time, to et cetera, et cetera. Like it could be financial, it could be time freedom, it could be something very different, of course, but it has to be strong enough. It's not just because it's a trend, right? Because that won't keep you holding on to your business. I think I shared a lot of points here.
You did, absolutely. And I definitely agree with you. Additionally to what you said, I feel like going back to your point of asking you that question of where you want to be 1 year down the line, and going back to what you said earlier about having a 90-day plan, don't be afraid to put a plan together. It doesn't commit you to execute it 100% to perfection. I feel like having, a plan to follow through, especially like, for example, the structure that you've mentioned you're doing, is like a 90-day plan. It can really be helpful because a lot of the time as well, we are holding ourselves back. And the way we're holding ourselves back is that we're not committing to anything. We're actually committing to something, even if it's like a rough plan, it's already a very good place to be at.
Yes, of course. The thing is, the thing that will get you to stick to that plan is also related to your why.
Yeah.
When you don't have a roof over your shoulder, you're hungry and you're hustling. But when you have a roof over your shoulder, let's say your husband makes 6 figures and you wanted to start a side business, but then you start seeing challenges, you're not hungry. You're not going to be on the streets. You might give up, right? Because you're just starting a side hustle just for fun or something, right? Which is okay. And you could do that. But the woman that actually wants to just quit her job and wants to support her husband and has kids, she's going to be persistent. She's going to be consistent, and she's going to be focused on doing the work that needs to get to launch and grow her business. Like she's hungry for it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
She's hungry
Absolutely.
for it. Yeah.
100%. So anyone listening to this right now, go back to your why and make sure that this definitely resonates with you, not only at like a motivational enough level to take the next step, but it really resonates with you at like your core. Because like you said, you're going to go out there, you're going to be thrown into receiving rejections, you're going to be doubting yourself, your abilities, you're going to receive no answer or no's, and you're going to be just doubting everything. And so having, like you said, a very strong why that really gets you to keep pushing and pushing, it definitely is very key.
Yes, super
I love
important. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Alia. Is there anything else that you want to share with us today?
I mean, entrepreneurship is amazing, really. Like, I definitely encourage you. Now with recession happening, I'm so grateful that my future is not dependent on some guy like Mark Zuckerberg or anyone. I'm so happy I have my business. Yes, purchasing power is decreasing, etc., but I still get to run my business and know I can accommodate what's happening in the economy. But if you don't want your future to be, dependent on someone else and you have the resilience to start your business, I definitely encourage it 100%. It's the best thing that can happen for you as long as you have a strong why and you're determined to do it.
Alia, I would love to know from your side one word that would summarize the conversation we just had today.
Knowing your why.
No, you gave me too many. So are we going for why?
Why? Yeah, maybe why.
Okay, we'll take why.
Another one would be perseverance, to be honest.
I will take it. We haven't had that in this season so far, so I'll take perseverance. I love it. Because perseverance goes back to your why, so 100%. Thank you so much for sharing your story today.
Thank you for having me, and look forward to listening to it on the podcast and sharing it with my community. This was a very powerful reminder to remind them, actually. Absolutely. So I'm super excited.
Me too. Thank you, Alia.
Thank you.
If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and share it with anyone you believe would benefit from hearing it. Because as you know, life is too short to feel unfulfilled at work.